Breaking news, Ebana say Health Minister Kwamna Minta Kando say the John Mahama regime na a cabinet meeting now approve say nurses some call demonstration yentu omuka na memani age minister ni chire mu ne ekoya ya problem ne baaye ene ebre esa nurse fo no hwe animu kwan si ebetu omuka se ya ne hwehwe firi aban wo se ya ne hwehwe firi aban wo enye bibi kese bia se ya ne hwehwe firi aban wo na John Mahama ban we dey makase phase 2 dey so say no mekọ dey ankeye responsiveness abanya ne manfo tiem a otie no eboa no mesre wo so be subscribe ma subscribe no click be notification me the video bi atuma wo be hunu atimi ahye bi anu aja comment in the comment section you anu akọ app any Play Store e wanna pan rate if you want to remit money to Ghana platform ebeboa be hu skade nyina no bia dem obia rate no pan rate download na fe de dwuma ebeboa last week hu demonstration course Ghana chenchirinchi na bia abotesem ma 10 years bitmin to pad me say 10 years 10 months yentu omuka ebi pad ensam empratwe basa ene ade ene na health minister ye twen no so de was a press release last week na no ye so be no twem ene no kasa ye ono ankasa na numu tuma me starting the same and ye kanan kasa ba ene ni
5 when we took office as government in the Ministry of Health. We inherited a situation where about 13,500 nurses and midwives had been recruited and posted without financial clearance, without any provision to pay them. In fact, the financial clearance with respect to the 13,500 nurses and midwives expired on 31st December 2024. What it means is that when a financial clearance is issued, you must necessarily migrate the health professionals onto the payroll before the expiration of the clearance for these people. This is a fact. And so we had two options as government. Whether to let all the 13,500 nurses and midwives go home whilst we look for the financial provision, we look for money. And issuing clearance is not just for issuing sake. Once you are issuing the clearance, you must be ready to pay them. And so the first option was to allow all of them to go home whilst we look at how we can get money to call them back. And so if you remember, it was a topical issue when we took office that we were going to sack some health professionals. So some of the associations even reacted to this. And the second option was to allow them to continue to work whilst we look at how we can get money to pay them. And I'm talking about 13,500 nurses and midwives. So as government, we chose the latter. Because we cannot allow the 13,500 people to go home and add on to the over 74,000 health professionals who have already been trained and they are at home. And to tell you the truth, I have never regretted that we chose the option of allowing them to work and finding ways to pay them. When we chose that option, we didn't go to sleep. This is what we have done. Out of about 13,500, as I speak to you, about 7,000 out of the 13,500 are being paid. They are on the payroll and they are being paid. Here, let me further explain that in actual fact, those that we have succeeded in putting them on the payroll are about 10,000. But out of the 10,000, 7,000 of them are being paid, and 3,000 though on the payroll, but they are not being paid. So you will hear situations like, yes, I am on the payroll, but I'm not being paid. That is why I'm giving you this explanation. So 7,000 are being paid. Ladies and gentlemen, issues of salaries, monuments, as a ministry, we must necessarily collaborate with the Ministry of Finance. We cannot do it alone. And so we had an outstanding of 6,500 nurses and midwives whilst we were taking steps to onboard all these people onto the payroll and get them paid. So don't forget, out of the 10,000, some 3,000 have not been paid, and about 3,500 have also not been put on the payroll at all. So making 6,500. Especially so when that was not the only difficult situation we inherited. So anytime you go to the Ministry of Finance, it is about putting another weight on the public purse.
Yes, just for the foundation, at least background no be at here. A inherited problem the bar. Mo kadam ye video me kasa me de. Yi se kwame nkruma kran e course ya ehia me. Obi a wed matema de ntua ne ka. Minister say you jene ma mo kan ye bia ne ate. Na say na cabinet decide somewhere. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I speak to you now, that about 6,500, that will add up to the 7,000 already being paid, making 13,500. That allowance, that's over 6,000. Cabinet has approved that with immediate effect, starting from November, the Minister for Finance must pay them. And I have in my hand the letter to that effect. And so these were the difficulties. I empathize with anybody who had to go through this painful situation. And it is important for Ghanaians to be taken along.
Yes. So mbeti. Now video na bi busa say November na breben ni ade ben manjo online ko ho ma men kan ma wo say according to Mr. Akando, about 7,000 are currently receiving payment, 3,000 are on the payroll but yet to be paid. An additional 3,500 are being processed, bringing the total number of affected health workers to 13,500. Next, nipa no mo akadwam ye 3,500, 700 there currently mo receive payment. 3,000 the omo payroll so basika ne nko na 3,500 that fin ye process wo no mako payroll no so ye tu omoka or say yes when the cabinet has given the green light for the Ministry of Finance to begin payment immediately starting in November. Next month ye besimi ye hwe nim se nurse for no mo benya musika no na bi fra no paya na bi fra me damase mi hia seda mi hia mu bibia ne me kan na se ya ban no onye responsive. The behavior says that some American me here be free President John Dramani Mahama wo me here be free Kwame Mintaka and me here na say me man for TM say you say na to me na me ka bi na ban betia emfa me ho ni obi abekire na dwen obi emfa me ho and minister no ne yen a ye tiam ka so mo nya ne ye na ya dwen se ntu omuka going forward no my advocacy dey be say teacher training allowance na entoso mu mame obi ankwaji student loan ni obi betu allowance obi afafa no na me kwaji allowance na betina fie 2-3 years ye ntua me ka de sebe entoso mu mame we ebi na de bia UJ me ka se ye ntwa teacher training allowance dem no kohwe data no bra Mahama twam 2016 enrollment akosoro but okotena echiro hu MPP dia bento no so ba watwa so politicians must take data driven decisions. enrollment ne cost na senya allowance deport no mo pe me Jose tum papa Kofi Ajampo ni kapre na na me ko invest dey buy mama land obi okọ na chintre dey man allowance Ghana say na esebu yeso se me ya besia me ko student loan me nua no to okọ na esia on ko student loan no bi ankoje besia ye wi a o senate no because of Ghana card no pay buy asate dey atetew na nche bi nchirema bi bom so menya bi afa e dey akodi dwuma. This is what we must run our country. In the minister why are there nyame hirawo nyame hirawo no anso me ya da baba bi nso be twe na so hwehwe ni mu fo no fache sometimes we be come na bufu a eno amekan utua ne kawie na be discipline na me enfa me ho but the better things e muntua ne 10 months ma no ababa me ho ni before and after picture na me ra ho. The minister, you're on the right track. Me say on the critical knowledge channel there, you can tag me from Nyamiama. So oh yeah, there na yen kwanem say the bebo Ghana for I will applaud you. It's kwam na minta kan do Nyami hirawo. Ono cabinet na John Mahama ban na wan no Nyami hirawo nurses for no 10 months for no. Omno beti asem o. Wo de wadidi amen. Tie bi anya asem. Wo de bi a mpem asem. To because MP NDC na asoma me. Normal. But the 10 months nurse na afa yetua ne kano. Obehu se you say to akana asema ma no. That's it. So we should be subscribe me. Now click the bell notification. Me the video be tuma. Obehu no watimi ahwe bo wi a. No waja comment in the comment section. No akọ app any Play Store. Na wa download the pan rate na bebo afa send this ka ko Ghana baby afa na bi a person pay bia. E frame you no say to me hian Ghana so hian. Bye bye.